The scientific revolution was followed by a period of time called the Enlightenment. And just like it sounds like, it's like a light bulb going off. And that light bulb represents human reason, which was a really big deal at the time. It means that human beings thought that they were unique to other animals and they could use human thinking to solve almost all of their problems. These are going to be some of the main philosophers of the Enlightenment, and I have a way that you're going to hopefully remember these guys forever. Okay, so I want you to draw this along with me. The first guy is represented by an evil monster dragon, and his name is Thomas Hobbes. And we're going to remember Hobbes as the hater, because Hobbes did not believe in human beings. He thought that human beings were evil, selfish, and greedy. So he thought the only type of leader that could rule human beings was something called an absolute monarch, somebody who had absolute power. And that's the only way we could rule these evil human beings and create law and order in society. The next guy was the antithesis. The rest of these are all enlightened. Hobbes is enlightened. Is a guy called John Locke, and he's represented by a lock. And John Locke was the antithesis or the opposite of Hobbes. He believed that all human beings are born with natural rights, and these are represented by this lock. 3 natural rights: life, liberty, which is freedom, and a weird one is property. So he believed that all human beings are born with natural rights of life, liberty, and property, and the purpose of government was to sustain those natural rights. The next person is called Rousseau. And Rousseau was a little different from these other guys because he wasn't born into absolute wealth like the rest of them. So he was a little bit more down to earth. Rousseau. And the way we're going to remember him is he has 2 S's in his name, and one of the S's in his name we're going to use to remember that he comes up with something called a social contract. And he believed that there shouldn't be super rich and super poor in society. He believed that human reason could take care of that, and that the wealthy shouldn't be treated differently from the poor. So he thought about something called a social contract, where all human beings in society fight for the general will, the general good of society. And that's called the social contract. The next guy is a guy whose real name we don't have to worry a bit about because he went by the much cooler name of Voltaire. And Voltaire, we're going to remember with a big V, with a cross on one side and the state on the other side. And he was a big believer in freedom of speech. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. It's really hard to write on this thing. Freedom of speech and freedom of religion. We're going to remember that with a big V, with a church, cross on one side representing freedom of religion, not persecuting someone who's not Christian, like the Jews were being persecuted sometimes, and freedom of religion. Sorry, I should say speech maybe on this side. So we'll just put speech on this side. Okay, and now we're going to erase all of these guys, and we're going to add one more, who's our last philosopher, and he's kind of the most fun one. And his name is very French. It's Montesquieu. Okay. And the best way to remember this guy is we're going to remember he has 3 syllables to his name. It's Montesquieu. We're just going to remember by doing 3 claps. Montesquieu. And the 3 claps with the 3 syllables to his name represent the 3 branches of government. So he believed in 3 branches of government, which we actually still have in our government in the US today. And what that does is it creates a system of checks and balances so that each branch checks and balances the other so that one never becomes too powerful, okay? And that's Montesquieu, and that's it for Enlightenment thinkers.